You see, sometimes, yeah, it's good to break down. Just cry.
Yeah, so you agree with him then?
But then, no, see, I agree with him, but like,
it comes at a cost.
It comes at the cost of, okay, probably you don't know who you are with. That's
fair
it.
enough.
And then you might like.
That's where you are starting from now.
Yeah.
It's about no, because the place I was trying to correct you is about the individual. See, because how will you see your husband? Your husband shared 1 or 2 chairs in the washroom. You that's how will leave you. That doesn't make any sense.
No,
But the fact is, we have to give Thomas the benefit of that, whereas it is a situation that does exist.
It does. Yeah.
No, there's no situation that never exists.
No.
It's not the best, but it does exist. Now,
this is the experience.
Now, what I have to say to that is, it falls on us, the younger men that are growing up, to be able to like start rectifying these things in us. And women too. No, I focus on women because you brought that up as a thing, right? We should normalize. I think one thing a couple of my friends have taught me or are teaching me is normalizing certain emotions that we have spent all our lives not trying to feel. Like, next question I have now is: have any of you had any mental situation you would like to share? And I think I'll just start with this.
On camera.
Just to open it.
Say on camera.
Wait. No, it's alright.
Don't worry,
You want me to cry?
Tell your friend.
You want me to cry?
You see now?
You want me to cry?
You see now? You see?
Can you know on camera is different now? I'll calm down now. I'll cry here now. People big will just. Sorry.
So, for example, I think I'll try to keep it broad. This was after I graduated. So there's a lot of things that is built up to graduating, right? So I graduated. Everyone in the mighty is like, we like find a job, keep on. Not gonna lie, summary, it was hard. Like, I wasn't myself. Coupled with that, I was going through a whole season of depression. And in fact, for me, I think mental health was strange because I just never saw it as a real thing. Until one day I had to sit down and be like, Daniel, let's face it. All these emotions you never knew how to process before, this is what it is. Like, call it what it is. I know, I get the whole, in Jesus' name, I don't have it. This is how you live your life. I get it. We hold on to it. But come, let's know what it is. So when we take it to Jesus, we understand that kind of thing. So it was a tough season, but then the job thing was hard because everyone, the only question they ask is, so how far the job set? That question can give you fear, anxiety, can just kill your spirit.
Nigeria.
So, long and short was, it was a tough season. My mom, I think she figured out that I wasn't picking up her calls. Then one day I was just walking back from school, I was just not having it. And then she called me, I was like, you know what, let's talk. Then she called me, I sat down in the library, people were walking by, and I just released, and I was shedding tears.
I want to speak on what you said because
2 minutes of it, let's go.
I want to know what you said.
For your 10 minutes. I know you're both sharing. Okay. Share one of your mental. Don't say share your own mental well. You're not saying you gotta share your own.
You said it every time, please.
I want to know.
I want
I want to know the part where I know we've spoken about social media before, and I want to speak about like the parts where probably you're not doing fine in life. Probably, of course, things are just starting up, and then it's not going as fast as you expect, and then probably your guys are killing it, and then you're just like, what's going on? Guy, now maybe they teach you for school now. You don't know anything.
Doesn't matter.
You understand? Yeah. And if it does not matter.
Yeah.
But then like you create that competition syndrome. You understand? In your brain that see, I'm supposed to be there. And because of that, like you now start having issues of, I don't say insecurities, because
they are insecurities.
Because you now be in spaces where you just feel like, oh man, I must do everything to get to this place.
Imposter syndrome, literally. Yeah.
And then rather than chase your own dreams, you're not just chasing to compete with that person.
Yeah.
To get that validation.
Yeah.
No one talked about
For
comparing
real,
women
yeah.
to
It's what it is. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things I feel like that's one of the things that create that mental health. I won't lie to you. Like when you look at your feed, people that graduated with you, and you start seeing this, that. You know, people publish something online when they achieve something big. I don't have no issue with that. Because sometimes I feel like you should care. I shouldn't say that, but I feel like you should care about how someone else will say this. Because he is seeing that and saying, I thought this guy maths in school.
But
But this guy is forgetting that this guy has a different lane. So what I started to realize is, on this life I came alone. The day I will live, according to the Bible, I will live alone.
Right.
So I start to say, this is my own lane. It may not come now, but it will come later, right? And as he said something before, I wanted to say, he's saying success. They're all doing well. You have your own definition of doing well.
There's a tweet.
You understand me? He has his own definition of doing well.
There's a quote that says,
please
you
drop
can
it.
still clap for other people even if your dream hasn't taken off yet.
Oh yeah. No, but that's what I was trying to say. Like for me, dream to take off. Your dream has taken off, but you are not seeing it because you're not patient.
You're looking at it.
You're not seeing it.
But then again, like I 100% agree with you. I would just add that waiting season is tough.
But I'll tell you why.
It's not just tough because of what you can see around. It's just tough because when it's just the way the waiting season is designed by God, in my opinion. Because when you've hustled hard for something and like that's literally all you sleep, eat, and breathe. Yeah. You have to get to a point where, or by God's grace, you get to a point where it's just there's joy that comes in it in the hustle.
But let me tell you why. You need to have a test if you have a testimony.
Huh?
If you're not tested, if you're not tested,
Pastor Kali,
you can't.
we didn't know you were a master.
That's my that's my part-time job now.
And then
It's right.
social media has now like escalated the whole thing because now you are seeing people that are doing so well outside there, and then.
But again, that's my point. He hit that point again. This is the second time. When you see people that are doing so well. See, the well is subjective.
Sometimes you don't see yourself.
I agree. Because you know why I said this thing? Man, there was time I was passing through. Whenever I was sharing some of them, but when I was passing through this crazy time, man. Every time, man, if you go to the gym.
Sure, you know that her leg and their leg is here. Does he have
This guy just called my
No, I don't want to see where because he's doing a thing. Like.
I know. So it's just like every time you go to the gym, man, you're trying to fake. Not fake, but you're trying to, because you know, Kali will just everybody be happy. Or passing through some things, man. But every time I don't even want to go. Because if I know that I'll be only me, right? So I just want to be with these guys and laugh. And just crack joke. But sometimes one guy just caught me one day. I was just walking out, I continued doing the thing for like almost 50. Huh? And the guy the guy look at me. Kali, you okay? Yeah, I'm good. Just faked it because I'm like, this guy will not understand. This guy, because you know what I'm saying? I cannot break it down for him. But later at the end, I believe that everything in life is a process. You have to. You not have to. There are some people, that's one of my friends, they don't pass through the thing. I'm like, I meet this guy. This guy just came in, just got this thing. Sometimes you be careful of that jealousy entering that place because I'm like, this guy don't even pass through anything. But I remember something. Right?
He did not tell you.
This guy have his own pace. You know? So me, I cannot look at this guy. I'm on my own lane, defining my own the way I'm going. So I avoid that comparison because we still do that. No matter what you do, you still do that.
As humans.
As humans, if you open your Instagram now, you see one guy that is married. I thought this guy was, as you said. That's the best thing to get.
What about you, Hibatu?
Oh, sorry.
I'm not saying you guys have to share, but like just something.
Okay, well, I kind of.
Or like some things to
just add, right?
Yeah, to think about in terms of mental health issues.
Well, I think for me, it's just because all we've been talking about is like, okay, having someone to talk to, having someone to talk to. I think for those out there like that deal with pain differently, like that's not to undermine like what you're going through. So, because some people, even though to you it looks like they're bottling it up, like some people have. I'm not weird, guys, but some people have conversations with themselves, right?
Yeah,
and it works, and it works perfectly for them. Like you're not bottling it up, but like you're like, because you know, like you try and detach yourself from this. The way I see it, right? It's different for each person because like you attack it differently, right? But for some people, it's like they detach themselves from the situation. So you like try to be as objective as possible because we're humans. Subjectivity is always gonna come in, but like you try to be as objective as possible. And in doing so, you're like, okay, if this was like a friend or an acquaintance or whoever, just someone that was seeking advice from you, how would you like advise them? And from that, they're able to cope with like whatever they're going through, and also just like handling things like one step at a time. Like it might not even be you working through your problems, but we're just taking it each day as it comes, you know, that kind of thing. So those little things also help. And just because we're talking about like mental health and addressing mental health from a state of like you have to talk to someone or it usually comes from being alone, like it doesn't mean that what you're doing that's working for you is the wrong approach. That's just what I want to clarify.
How about you, Delilah?
Yeah. Stop.
if,
Why are you laughing?
if you were to give,
Marina, give us some strong
yeah,
advice.
just some things to think about in terms of mental health. Because I know it's a huge thing for you personally. I know of me. No. Wait. God,
No, the way he said that, you live in our own house.
From
Please, what's the
From the
relationship?
beginning of our friendship, I've known that she's big on mental health, and from following her posts on Instagram and the awareness.
She's giving us this is what they call. I was decoding
Get
it.
context.
I was decoding it.
All I said was I know she's big on mental health.
Now you use her decoding, rather so that you use his decoding time.
So I can have the encoding and decoding.
Sorry. Belinda, she understand. Please, I don't want to cause casala for anybody.
Please not.
I think another thing that we also tend to overlook is that sometimes the person that you're disclosing to, if they're not a professional, they might not know how to react to the information. And like, it doesn't mean that obviously you should say, oh, just because you did something that. I think I'm saying this in particular because there's times where you want to tell somebody something, but that person is also going through their own issues. And I was like,
You want to tread carefully.
they kind of have to, deal with that as well. And obviously, there's people that like are open to talking whenever. I am most of the time, but it's like you have to also take in consideration that the person might not be in a position to help, or in a position where they
just
can.
to listen.
Sometimes it's heavy. There's lots of heavy content, and you're like. So if you also shouldn't feel like, oh, that's restricting you from talking to anybody at all,
Yeah.
I just think that like you can always set a precedent. Like,
Right. In addition to what you're saying about like the listening perspective, how it could be like heavy to listen and just to like help in any way that you can. I think it's also like something that needs to be considered from the person that's speaking, because I think you mentioned something earlier about how sometimes it's just heavy to talk. Like what I'm going through might just be so hard for me that I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is specifically applicable for like rape cases. So just because yes you came out and you said like what happened to you and you shared your story, like you're brave. Acknowledge.
That's enough.
But I'm brave and also keeping it to myself because that's how I'm gonna sort out my issues. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be undermined just because like I'm not coming out. Like you shouldn't look at someone less like she brought out her story. Why can't you? Do you know that kind of thing? So like if it's too heavy, like it should be acknowledged.
That's a big one.
But like ultimately,
both of them are brave.
Yeah, both of them are brave.
I think honestly one of the biggest challenges is listening, because like you mentioned before, when you listen, there's always a tendency for you to want to find solutions. I do that a lot. Like I like to work through problems.
Belinda's a mom. Forget about it.
I like to work through problems and like trying to figure out what the end results could possibly be. And sometimes the person just wants you to listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find it weird if I'm telling someone and just keeping quiet. My friend, you two talk. If you don't talk,
And like, okay, but that's the thing.
I don't know if you know what I mean.
What I was saying before, the reason why I was like that, but his example was wrong. There's levels of mutual self-disclosure that ultimately could lead to intimacy without you undermining the other person's experiences. You can say
that's the whole psychology. The whole dissertation.
That is.
Please, replay it again.
That's someone's project.
Slower, very slow. There are levels of mutual self-disclosure.
Basically, you can say, okay, this is my experience and this is what I've been through, and I can say, man, thank you for sharing this with me. Because honestly speaking, like, thank you for feeling comfortable and vulnerable enough to tell me this. Like, you trust me enough to tell me this. I can say, oh, I'm also in a space of sharing, and like in that space, we're just sharing and listening to each other and providing support. Right. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this happened to me too, and like your issue, what cry is it? No, it's more like, you've told me this, I trust you. There's just a lot of vulnerability here, and I feel like this has kind of prompted me to share as well.
So it's a secret.
What? It depends on the context. Obviously, somebody discloses something to you, it could be a secret. Or you're not going to go around and tell everybody.
That's what I'm saying. That's why for me, that's why anything that comes out from your mouth is not my secret. So I won't tell you.
But
do you get what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but
there's no point in me telling you because I don't trust that you keep it to yourself.
Yeah, but with things like mental health, I don't think keeping it to yourself makes all the difference.
Remember,
in certain contexts.
Remember, she said something before. People have a different way of solving it. I might decide to keep it to myself, to have a conversation with myself. I do that a lot. Sometimes I think I'm going mad, but I'm not yet. The reason is
You know you're on the way.
The reason
You know you're on the way.
the reason is sometimes you want to make sense of the thing.
Yeah, that's
It's hard.
Yeah.
Because if I can't make sense of it, I'm telling myself, can tea make sense of it?
That's what.
Do you get what I mean?
That's what
Qualified people, yeah.
And I understand what you were saying was actually perfectly valid. That sometimes you want to talk to another African psychologist because it's like you can understand the cultural barriers and you can understand the cultural influence.
I can agree with that one. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not always that available. Let's be honest. Like, how many black psychologists are in Waterloo? Even Waterloo, that their psychology department, their mental health counselors. Do they have any black counselors? I don't know.
Yeah, on the closing notes, the question: what about with background? How do you deal with your mental issues? Any healthy? I feel like I was qualified. Any healthy coping mechanisms that mechanisms?
I am a big talker. I'm a believer of talking to people.
Talker.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm a very big believer of talking to people. Like, there was a brief period at the beginning of this year where I was just not feeling. Everything was just off. Everything was off. It didn't make sense. I'll pray about it. Everything was just off. And I talked to my parents about it. They were like, "Oh yeah, we'll pray with you, blah blah blah." But it was still off. And then I called. There's like anonymous helplines.
Yeah.
For like student mental health counseling. And I just called one of them and I was like, "You don't know who I am. You don't know my life. You don't know my story. You don't meet me anywhere. If I tell you this information, you can't ask for anything." So I said,
Finished it. Just said everything.
just everything out. And then the person eventually was like, "Okay, listen through it out," and then started asking questions. And I was like, "Okay, do you have like a notebook?" They start like journaling and things like that, and see what things you could possibly be boiled down to. Like, it was incredible. Like, by the next day, I felt like a weight was lifted off my chest, just because I had somebody that would just listen. And I didn't feel like talking to my parents because I didn't want to put that much pressure on them. And sometimes there's also that aspect as well. But just like having some kind of avenue, just letting things out, just scream. Like, somebody can just scream into a void. It may sound like a crazy thing, but sometimes you just want to scream.
It's needed,
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Depends on the place you're living,
Obviously, like, I'm always screaming in the middle of my song.
That's the way you scream, though.
Like, scream into a pillow or something.
No, obviously.
You already have paper,
Know
you
your
got to scream it.
context.
What are you screaming for? Umbrella.
Know your context.
I know what you mean.
But yeah, I definitely think like talk. My first response is always talk to somebody because like you never know, they might have had a similar experience, or they might have known somebody that did that, and they can kind of walk you through it. You know. So yeah.
What about you, Kali? Oh no,
Let's take from tea, please. I know why.
Let's wait. Let's take it back to first.
Okay, back there.
I didn't think I was going next. Shit, man. wait. I think I have a quick thing.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
No, let you go first, please. I know why. So I can time him.
See, for me, I don't know.
Coping mechanisms.
The first thing I do if I have like episodes like that is I don't go for a run because I believe I've used to handle it before. So I go for a run and then because like you're anxious, so me going for a run almost puts me like in the same. I don't want to use frequency now. Like it just puts me like in the same spectrum of anxiety. You understand? Although I might not be able to like cover more laps if I was okay, but then it just like brings me back and then I'm able to like go through that. But another one that I think I'm going to do very soon is start paying the $30 an hour. So, no, and then having these conversations and talking to people. You understand?
Mine's just know yourself. I think that's what's most important to me because know what works for you. So if it's like the running, if it's going to the gym, if it's doing what Belinda said, like calling an anonymous line, like do what works for you and don't let anyone else undermine the fact that works for you. So don't let it be like, okay, because you're talking to someone and now you're like doing the best in life. You shouldn't let that make it seem like what you're doing and you know that's working for you. Not like you don't know that's working. Like you know what's working for you. Don't let it belittle it basically. And also in doing that, you have to be honest with yourself because if you know that low-key, she ain't working. Like, you've been doing this and it's not working, I'm still at this state, then try something else. Be open to it. So yeah, that's just know yourself, essentially.
I like the way you put it. That's a good segue in. Because, see, if you don't know yourself, if you like therapy for nothing more, you don't know yourself.
True.
That's why I always mean that thing. I say, you came here alone. I'm coming to that area. You need to see. Even me, I don't understand myself sometimes.
Right. Okay.
Let's tell ourselves truth. Identity is a process.
It is.
Every day you're trying to know yourself, right? So for me, basically, I like that approach of talking to people, sharing it out. For me, I don't trust anybody.
That's valid.
Who broke your heart?
I'm not always
Is it friends?
That's the whole episode.
Let's leave that.
Who broke Kali's
But you know.
Yeah. Yes.
But you get what I mean? Like, you know,
Kali's house.
like look at when you do that. Like that way. That way is not bad. You don't know me. Let me just talk to you on the
you know my
phone.
story.
Just imagine me telling you my things now. That information, I cannot sleep. It will not become another episode for me, my own self.
But somebody else.
Because I say, I don't know who this boy is. You know what? I shared something with someone one time when you know everybody were trying to get our permanent resident then and stuff. And it's just something I had the conversation with him. I said, man, I don't know what these lawyers are doing. I heard this thing from someone like out of town. And the person said that casually in the conversation.
That's what.
Oh boy, yeah.
Like,
oh boy, I heard this lawyer for messing you up. And you're like, I just told this guy. But I didn't tell him it's confidential, but you get what I mean, like, you know?
Yeah.
But this guy has told someone that, and this guy is joking about it, meanwhile. So I'm looking at myself, I'm like,
I didn't approve of this.
how do I, then me, I have to correlate with the joke, you know, just laugh. There's no point of me getting mad. I'm going to be the one to pass through that whole thing.
Advice for anybody going through something.
Why?
Depression and anxiety.
One of the key.
Keep it short.
Short and sweet.
I'm not Mr. T, but let's get forget about it. One of the key things is, I think everybody has said it, but one thing is, you have to understand that if you detach yourself from that situation, it's temporary. It will come back. So what do? One step every day, gratitude.
Drugs.
If you're never grateful in life, that's it. So for me, that's where you start from. Man, you know when you're searching for a job, everybody's searching for a job. Wake up every day and still alive.
Yeah.
Look at some people that then just that alone and have a journal. Because journal is very important. When you're writing that, see me, I have a pen with me. Because so Thomas can say something, anybody can say, I'm just taking that thing.
Why you are
The last one is have that nightly reflection. After every day, just sit down in your bed. That's why I used to remember what this guy says every day and stuff. Those are the times I have to, you understand what I mean? To think about a day, and I write the journal, then I highlight my good things. So it's just that.
journal,
Journal, yeah.
nightly reflection. I feel like say something was for that.
What does it get?
Gratitude. That's what I said. Let's go.
I think gratitude journaling is actually a pretty good step, because then you have a list of all the things that have happened to you, the things that have given you happiness. You're like, wow, this and this has happened, and you look back and it's like, and there's some people that will look back and be like, damn, things are really down here. But you could also, it's another perspective where you could look back and be like,
I did that.
it's possible. It's possible for me to experience these things again. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaway would be to just reach out. Like, nobody is really going to say, what's wrong with you? Like, we're all human beings. No one is perfect. Please just reach out. Somebody is willing and able to listen to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, that's good.
That's neat. Mine's just really short. Just know that there's other people in your position. That's just it. Yeah.
Now I eat you. Now I eat you.
Okay.
See, I beg. They said one sentence.
No, it's not just one sentence.
140 characters, I beg.
So I think what I would say is just believe that once you failed or once things are not going fine, it's not the end of the world. You can always go again.
Depend on the tournament.
Don't feel that you know you are down or that's the end. Just believe that you
must make
get
it
back
cry.
up. You always get back up. So far the opportunity is there, and then you keep riding.
I think just
Don't say anything.
just to close.
Don't say anything.
Just to close. To anyone going through something, there's a reason why you're alive in this exact moment. There's a reason why you are going through what you're going through. And you clearly may not be able to see. In fact, you can't see right now. You can't see past the difficulties, but it will get better and you will be okay. And it's okay to not be okay. But you will be okay. Last.
You go there,
Right. Yes.
And that's a wrap.
It's a wrap.